So please take your seats. So welcome back, or thanks for staying here. My name is Michael Briggs. I'm with Ogilvy Public Relations. And I think two of the greatest things about the World Social Marketing Conference is the opportunity to be exposed to so many different perspectives, sometimes really strongly opposing viewpoints that challenge our assumptions and maybe even change our minds. And the second thing is the wide array of people it brings from around the world, people who are unusually smart, passionate, hardworking, and I can't help but notice good-looking practitioners and thinkers about social marketing. And we're very lucky this afternoon to have both of those things converge on this very stage in the form of the big debate, which is between social and marketing, the two words in our discipline's name. So some people feel like it's about the marketing, other people feel like it's about the social, and our esteemed guests here are going to comprise the two dream teams of debate on either side of the equation. So in the interest of time, I'm going to introduce each of them by title only, but if you haven't already done so, please take a look in the program at the very impressive work and accomplishments of the folks who are here on the stage with us today. So, speaking on behalf of marketing, we have Nancy Lee, the president of Social Marketing Services Incorporated. We also have Jim Mintz, who is managing partner of the Center of Excellence for Public Sector Marketing. And on the other side, in the other corner, on behalf of social, we have Dr. Craig Lefebvre, who is chief Maven at socialShifting, and Dr. Christine Domegan, who's senior lecturer of marketing at the National University of Ireland in Galway. So thanks to the four of you for being willing to participate in the debate today. And I want to start off by reminding of the folks of what the debate's about. It's again the motion between it's the marketing or no, it's the social. And I want to start by gathering some baseline data from the room. And to assist me with that, I'd like to call Professor Jeff French, who is a certified election observer and dressed appropriately.
Scientist.
The scientist. So let's have a show of hands among the group. If you had to choose between which was the most important aspect of social marketing, how many people would say it's the social piece? All right, keep them up. He's really counting. All right, and how many of you would say it's the marketing piece? It's the marketing that matters. And how many of you are agnostic or would abstain from that? I have to play that role, I think, this time. What I'd like to do now is just, before we dive into things, well, do you have an answer for us, Professor French?
Yeah, according to our sophisticated laser technology here, we've counted all the hands. It's about 44% for the social, about 29% for the marketing, and the rest, whatever that is, for agnostics.
All right, great. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I'm going to go over the debate rules very, very quickly. Each speaker will have 10 minutes and a maximum of 3 slides to set forth their case, attack the position of the opposition, or defend themselves against the opposition's attacks. Following each speaker's presentation, the opposing side will be able to ask 2, hopefully quite brief questions or requests for clarification, not make statements, and then the speaker will provide a brief response. I'm going to alternate between sides, so we'll hear from one side and then the other, and then do the same again. And I want to emphasize, as all the debate's about a serious issue and something we ourselves debate internally, the mood here is meant to be good-spirited and lighthearted fun, and I think that knowing the debaters, I don't think we'll have any trouble with that. So I'd like to announce that Craig Lefebvre won the hoop dancing contest that we held backstage, and therefore has the privilege of going first. So, Dr. Craig Lefebvre.
All right, thank you. Good, the microphone is on. Okay, is it social or is it marketing? And if I can have the first slide up, let's just talk about this for a minute. It's really a question of chicken and egg, as far as I'm concerned. What comes first? because I think, at least from my point of view, you need social and you need marketing. But which comes first? What's the primary source? And I'll start by saying that, when I started in the social marketing world, I was a clinical psychologist who wound up being recruited to direct what was then one of the world's first community intervention projects to reduce heart disease in an entire population. We were doing behavior change at scale. And as someone who had to do behavior change and who knew a lot about behavior change as a clinical psychologist, I innocently decided that I should go out and figure out how people change communities and change large groups of people. And I kind of discovered, not so coincidentally, that advertising guys and marketers seem to be really good at doing that. So I literally went to Rhode Island, Brown University, with an advertising book and a marketing book in my suitcase and said, this is what I'm going to need in order to start changing behavior and reducing heart disease. Now, the interesting thing about that story is that there was a social problem, very high levels of heart disease, very high levels of uncontrolled blood pressure, high blood cholesterol levels, smoking rates, rates of obesity, and very low physical activity levels in this blue-collar city of Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And what I decided is that in order to tackle a big problem, I needed to have something that could give me a bigger solution than what my traditional behavior change, let's put everybody in a group, let's counsel them for 12 weeks, let's hope for the best. And so I turned to a marketing solution. And I'm not the first person who did that. Okay? Many years ago, long before Phil Kotler and Jerry Zaltman were writing about social marketing, a planned approach to social change, there were some guys in India who were trying to figure out, how do we reduce population levels? How do we start increasing family planning and use of family planning products? And this guy, Peter King, got it into his head that maybe what we need to do is, rather than trying to get our doctors to be more persuasive and to try and figure out how to create more clinics to service the over 100 million people, or I should say the 600 million people that were in India, maybe we should come up with another way of doing family planning and scaling up family planning methods. And he and his colleagues wrote a paper called A Proposition for a New Way to Do Family Planning, a Marketing Plan, in 1965, 6 years before the Journal of Marketing published Phil and Jerry's article. These guys, along with myself and along with many other people who are in this room and who aren't in this room today, are what I call the searchers. People who are looking for solutions to big problems, big social problems. And we understand that in order to solve these problems, we need to figure out how people think and act and behave, how we create interventions that are going to be relevant to their lives, that are going to achieve social objectives and social goals. And that it's not going to be a question of what can we figure out and do in a top-down command and control approach, but like in my Pawtucket project, we need to figure out how to do this from the grassroots and from the bottom up. And what we all come back to is saying, marketing's a pretty good toolbox for doing that. And I think that that's where the marketing helps us be better at doing social change. It is a planned approach to social change that's most important, I think, in what we do. So let me go into that a little bit more. If we can have the second slide up now, Kyle can do that too. Thank you. Some people, such as the people sitting up here at the table in the 1 and 3 positions, would have you believe that there are these commandments of marketing that are etched in stone, all right? And that if we don't subscribe to these commandments of marketing, that somehow we're bad people, all right? I'm a social change person. I don't care about the commandments. I care about what works. I care about what people need. I care about what's relevant for people's lives, all right? If I believed in the commandments of marketing, then I would become one of those top-down people who sit in an office and say, go segment, go research, go put together the 4 Ps, Make sure you do a process evaluation and evaluate it. And very rarely would people come back to me and say, just like we were hearing in this last session, oh, they made social change. Very rarely, I think, does that happen because those commandments get in the way. We stop listening to people, and we start listening to the commandments. What I think is that marketing is a service, much like was described this morning. Marketing is a service, first of all, to people. That's why we use marketing. It's a service for achieving organizational objectives. It's a service for increasing stakeholder value. It's a service for improving customer satisfaction. Marketing is a service for social innovation, and I think marketing can be a service for social change. But it's only in that capacity that I really see marketing having social value in what we do. The next point I want to make is that marketing is a social process. And that's another part of this debate that always gets left out. Because much like several of those examples we saw in the last session, many people think that marketing is developing a creative message aimed at an audience. And wow, wasn't that cool? All right. Marketing is an interactive process. There's this idea, in case you haven't heard, it's called exchange theory. And somehow when we're doing messages to target audiences, there's no exchange. It's just listen to me, be persuaded by me, and then go away and do what I've told you you should do. The exchange process, the social relationship process, is basic to marketing. All right. Matt Ridley wrote a book a couple years ago called The Rational Optimist. He made the case that exchange theory is the basic social concept in which human civilization developed. We've always exchanged. It's the natural tendency for social beings to do that. We have just now evolved it to a very high state, as you were hearing earlier this morning from Bob Lush. But what do we do with that evolved state in the 21st century? You know, do we continue to talk about marketing as what we do to people? Or do we talk about marketing as a co-creation that is a social process? Do we talk about social outcomes? Do we talk about social actions? And most importantly, and another point that hasn't been brought up at all yet that I've heard today, is what about the effects that marketing has on society and this whole area of critical marketing? Understanding and diagnosing and combating all the negative things that marketing brings to society because there are so many commercial marketers who are in fact changing behaviors and they're changing them for the worse. All right? That should be a goal for social marketers. And Jared Hastings isn't here today to make the point for himself, but I'm certainly happy to echo it here on this panel. Okay, and then I think we can go to the, I'm going to blank out here for a minute and hold the video. One of the things I talk about very often now is that I think we have to think about what the business we're in is social problems and solving wicked problems. And wicked problems demand complex solutions. Wicked problems are defined by the fact that people can't agree on what the causes are. They can very rarely agree in unanimity what the solutions are. The core of almost every wicked social problem we have is in fact something that involves behavior change. And we need to have ways of addressing social problems that I think marketing and other social change approaches can bring to the table. And so from my point of view, when it comes to how I think about social marketing and solving wicked problems, if you can't give me a solution that leads to social involvement, that leads to social engagement, that leads to social outcomes, and that leads to improved social well-being, then I think you really haven't done the job that social marketing has set out for us to do. The last thing I want to do is to show you a brief video clip. You know, a lot of people stand up here, and it was a perfect setup for me, by the way, will stand up here and show you public service announcements. And some of them will tell you, well, a public service announcement isn't our whole social marketing campaign, it's only a part of it. But I want to see the end of public service announcements. in social marketing programs. I'd much rather see things that, rather than talking at people and trying to be persuasive and creative, actually show social change, social engagement, and social involvement. I'd like to see something like this little film clip from a RARE campaign. And RARE, for those of you who don't know, is a social marketing organization that particularly works on species conservation. And this little video kind of shows you a slice of what a RARE campaign looks like in Peru. So we can roll the video, the digital actually. Okay, thanks. You get the idea. Again, a PSA doesn't change a behavior. Putting a bird in a parade doesn't change a behavior, but it shows you the essence of an approach that's basically social in the way it addresses change and very important social changes in Peru and many other places around the world. And that's what I think we need to have if we're going to put some soul and put the passion back into the social marketing that we all do. Thank you.
So Jim or Nancy, any questions for Craig? No? All right. So then speaking for the marketing side, Mr. Jim Mintz.
Thank you. So, get the first slide up there. Yeah. Thank you. Well, welcome to Canada, where we never debate, we never fight, we all love each other. We're a friendly country, but today I'm involved in a debate. I have to tell you that when let me just first start off by saying that when I'm presenting here, I'm presenting as a practitioner. Yes, I teach marketing at university, and yes, I've written books and articles, but at the end of the day, I'm the guy behind the lines who was involved for many years with my team at Health Canada, creating some of the best social marketing programs ever, and I'm damn proud of it. So when I first asked to speak about the topic, my initial reaction was, are they kidding? Is this for real? I mean, I always believed that social marketing was about marketing of social issues, of course, and that they equally important but played different roles. I remember when I first met Dr. Philip Kotler in 1984. That was a long time, Philip, a long time ago. And we were trying to make the business case for why social marketing should be a major integral part of the work that we do in the public health system in Health Canada. And I have to tell you, it wasn't an easy sell. I mean, I did get the, oh, marketing is the enemy. How could you bring marketing into a health department? I mean, I can't tell you, I could probably write a book of all the things and all the slags and everything that was made, but we just soldiered on because we really believed in the kind of things that Dr. Kotler wrote about initially with Zaltman. I also spent a fair bit of time with Bill Novelli and Jack Porter, and there are a lot from Bill. Boy, he taught me tons. But what I remember so well was Phil Kotler saying, Jim, we marketers need to think about applying marketing concepts to social problems. And that's how it started. It was nothing more complicated than that. That's how it started. I figured, well, Health Canada hired this marketing guy, not a social change guy, a marketing guy, that's what I was. And they kind of hoped and prayed that I was going to come in and bring people in, and we were going to make some tremendous change. And we did. I thought maybe being asked to do this debate, I was sort of out of touch, or something had changed in the past few years that all of a sudden now we're questioning marketing as part of social marketing, or is it an important part? And I thought maybe I was being left behind, so I reviewed the latest definitions of social marketing. Now, I've actually found 11. What does it say about a discipline or field that has 11 of the most recent definitions? I can imagine when I have to teach social marketing, I had somebody recently say, Jim, can you give me the latest definition? I said, well, I've got 11. Which ones do you want? I looked at Lee Rothschild Smith, Alan Andreessen, Jay Bernhardt, Rob Donovan, Jeff French, Gerard Hastings, Craig Lefebvre, of course, Mike Newton Ward, Sharon Rundle Thiel, I hope I got that name right, Nadra Weinrich, and Doug Mackenzie Moore. And except for Doug, Sharon, and you, Jeff, no wonder we were having this debate today, all of the definitions refer in some way that social marketing is about utilizing a systematic planning process that applies marketing principles and techniques. They all say that, except those three. And also, strange, but when you look at who is writing the marketing books, the best-selling ones that is, they tend to come from the field of marketing. So somehow you'll kind of wonder, what is this conversation all about? Next slide. Now, from time to time, the term social marketing is misunderstood and increasingly confused with concepts like socialism and most recently social media. A number of years ago, I was giving a presentation en français, in French, in Montreal, and I was introduced as this supposed expert on social marketing. And there was this politician from France who I later found out was part of the socialist government in France. And when he heard that there was somebody in our country, i.e. me, who was an expert in marketing socialism, he wanted to meet me, he wanted to take me out for supper. I think he was going to his room to bring me bottles of wine, not to mention cheese and perfumes and whatever else. No Peugeot in my driveway. He just thought he had died and gone to heaven. I kind of said, en français, of course, I won't say in French here because nobody hears, I don't think too many people speak French here. I said, well, I think, and he thought he hit the jackpot. I said, well, no, I'm involved with social marketing, not socialist marketing. Anyways, it was quite an interesting conversation. He still wanted me to come to France to help him with the marketing of the Socialist Party, and I kind of told him, I'll reject that offer, thank you. Today, when you tell people you work in social marketing, at least in North America, they usually say, oh yeah, I know, social marketing, that's like Twitter, Facebook. Is that what you do? No, not really. It's likely that you spend a lot of your time explaining the terms social marketing and social media marketing, especially if you speak to people who don't work in our field. It's galling, absolutely galling to social marketers that our beloved 40-year-old discipline is being confused with that upstart that's rapidly taking over the world. How dare they take over us? And it's no wonder when you go to Wikipedia and you look at the term social. First word you look at, social. It calls it, you ready for this? A fuzzy concept. Check it out. Go to Wikipedia. I know some of you have your mobiles. Check out the definition of social, a fuzzy concept. But that certainly should not stop us from continuing to call what we do social marketing. Social marketing is just one branch of marketing, where the branch reflects the area of application. For example, there's sports marketing and business-to-business marketing and non-for-profit marketing and public sector and government marketing, political marketing, and on it goes. A guy named Scott Brinker, actually, he probably has a lot of free time in his hands. He actually went out and did a count of how many how much different kinds of marketing there are. There are actually 131. Now, this guy is, as I said, must have a lot of free time in his hands. I actually have the list of the 131. Don't ask me what I'm going to do with it, but I've got it. Now, what makes social marketing different? It is the marketing of social issues, of course. As Rob Donovan from Australia states, the key point of difference between social marketing and all other branches of marketing is social marketing goals relate to the well-being of the community, whereas for all others, the marketing goals relate to the well-being of the marketer. They're interested in sales, profits, members, and donations. That's just one point here. I'm just going to say this. What is so wrong with business and marketing? What is so wrong with people making a profit? Like, is there something wrong with this? I mean, when I hear people say to me, marketing's the enemy, I'd like to see the economy of some countries, including this one, where we'd be without marketing. Thank you very much. Right, Phil? You got that. I mean, I just find it's kind of bugs me a bit. So increasingly, social marketing is being described as having two parents: a social parent, including social science, social policy approaches, and a marketing parent, including commercial and public sector marketing approaches. Next slide. That is not my grandchild. Don't ask. He has red hair. With respect to the marketing component of social marketing, what's happened to my slide there? Want to show the whole slide? Sorry. Okay. With respect to the marketing component to social marketing, marketing makes the discipline of social marketing different than other approaches to behavior change. And I'm not arguing that there are no other ways of getting attitude or behavior change or social change. Of course. I mean, Dr. Kotler talked about Alinsky and all of these various movements. So nobody is suggesting that social marketing is the be-all and end-all, but it is what it is. And I think the most fundamental principle underlying social marketing is the application of a customer orientation to understand barriers, target audiences, perceived to adopting the desired behavior and benefits they want and believe they can realize. I mean, that's pretty basic. So the social marketing process mirrors the process used for other types of marketing. It's not like, something that different. As somebody who has taught commercial marketing, nonprofit marketing, public sector marketing, social marketing, the process we use is pretty much the same. Now, needless to say, there's no question that the approach and the context is quite different. But for God's sake, marketing is marketing. It is what it is. You love it or hate it, it is marketing. And it's a wonderful discipline, and we should be so lucky here that we have something called marketing to help us with social change and behavior change. We should bow to Mr. Kotler and thank him 50,000 times that he brought marketing into to our field. I mean, it's just absolutely wonderful, and I tell you, my friends in Health Canada, thank you. So social marketing is built upon many of the traditional processes and principles, and we all know them: customer orientation, exchange theory, competition, segmentation, 4 Ps, relationships, and the service orientation. Well, okay. But today, many social marketers seem to regard social marketing as consisting of educational, informative, or persuasive messages and seem to be unaware that the core concept of marketing resides in the exchange. We somehow lost that. What a pity. Mike Rothschild, and I'm assuming many of you know him, wonderful guy, is a real expert and guru of social marketing. He states that social marketing has become a generic term that encompasses education and marketing, but too often has been co-opted by education. And to that I say amen. Without a clear commitment to both the social and the marketing that is rooted in the philosophy of the exchange, the social marketing field will remain focused on education and communications, or as Dr. Kotler pointed, 1P, according to Rothschild. What he's inferring is, why call something social marketing if there's no marketing? Bill Smith, another guru in the field who we all know and love, says, the problem with the social marketing practice is clear. There's little or no marketing in social marketing. I think that's a real problem for our field. So why are we having this debate today when we all know that social marketing is about the social and the marketing? As I said earlier, we marketers need to think about applying marketing concepts to social problems. I just finished the program at our Center of Excellence for Public Sector on work we did on convincing Tanzanian public servants in Dar es Salaam, trying to convince them not to be unethical and not to be corrupt. Now, how do you like that for a social marketing program? We just finished the program. We've just got the results. We're going to present it at various conferences and papers, typical stuff that we all do. But boy, was that an eye-opener. And I must tell you, there was a lot of skeptical people in the development field. Oh, this ringer from Canada is going to come and bring social marketing to Africa. Oh, and corruption yet. Oh, sure. Give me a break. We damn well did it. And when you see the results, you'll be absolutely floored. Social marketing is great, and I think we need to expand it way beyond the way it is now. And I wish, as I've been writing in my blogs lately, where are the social marketers in the United States on the gun control issue? Let's talk about that. So I'd just like to end my presentation by saying, based on my experience as an educator, practitioner, and consultant of social marketing for the past 30 years, many social marketing managers today come from the public health or mass communication background, and only a few have had broad training in marketing. Some, as I said earlier, even think it's the enemy. So let's agree today that social marketing has two parents, a social parent and a marketing parent. Thank you.
Any comments or questions from the social side to Jim's comments?
Yes. I have to ask one question, Jim. You were telling the story about your friend who discovered that you were a socialist marketer. And when you...
He's not a friend.
Well, not yet.
Never. Sorry.
Leads to my question.
Sorry.
If you're a marketer, why not be a marketer of socialism?
Good question.
Okay.
I've marketed a lot of stuff. Sorry. I've marketed a lot of stuff in my life. I've always made it a point, just on a personal basis, to market things that I personally believe in. As some of you know, people who know me well, I taught marketing part-time, of course, in Cuba for about 6 years at the University of Havana. And I worked with the professors there, and I actually taught many of the professors in Cuba and Havana on how to do marketing. And I really got an insight of what socialism can do to a country. I can go on, I can write a book on this thing, but I won't go into it. I also know that my parents came to this country because they objected to socialism and communism and felt that they had to live in a society like we live in now. So I, on a personal level, would have a very hard time. As much as I helped the socialists in Cuba, and I worked my butt off in the worst conditions you can imagine, for 6 years. I didn't do 6 consecutive years. I went for a couple weeks a year. I don't want you to think I was there for 6 years. But the fact is, I did it. And you're right. And by the way, there's many things that I turned down to do as a social marketer, by the way, Craig. I actually do. I mean, it's just, I have some principles. And I mean, there may be some great supporters of socialism in this room, and I respect them. Maybe some of my Cuban friends are sitting here. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, I can't. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So, in the interest of time, we'd like now to hear from Dr. Christine Domegan, who's going to talk once again about the social point of view.
Honourable Chairman, my fellow debaters, ladies and gentlemen, and social marketers. Jim posed a very interesting question. He asked, why were we having this debate at all? Isn't it about social marketing? And it reminds me of 2 meetings that took place back in Scotland across the waters on March 6th. The first meeting was over lunch. It was wild mushroom risotto in a 5-star hotel in Edinburgh, hosted by Coke. And they were there with health practitioners and researchers. And they were talking to them and telling them about their new initiative and their focus on the anti-obesity campaign. And their chairperson talked about Coke, and he reminded them that this was sparkling and not a fizzy drink. And he went on then to talk with very polished PowerPoints about the product and the price and the placing and the promotion. It was well crafted, and the call to the community to rise to the anti-obesity campaign was well received. The second meeting took place later on that evening. It was much quieter. It was in one of the small rooms off the Scottish Parliament. And it had to do with the fair trade movement. And in particular, Scotland had just achieved fair trade status. And 2 fair trade farmers had come from Malaysia to talk to the traders, to the community members, to the researchers, and to the volunteers as well. There was no wild mushroom risotto. There were no fancy PowerPoints, and there certainly was no mega bucks campaign. But there was a very uplifting humor in the room. And the farmers told how their product, receiving a fair price, coming all the way as it did to Scotland, was changing their lives, was changing the lives of their families and their communities. Finally, for the first time, they had access to education and health, and they had a future that they could start looking forward to with anticipation and delight. These 2 meetings go to this debate, and they go to Jim's question as to why we're having it at all. Coca-Cola's anti-obesity push demonstrates the very essence of marketing, its power, its wonderful, magnificent power to mobilize, to change people. It can take a threat like weight gain, and it can turn it into a positive, such as a happy, active lifestyle. And furthermore, if you look at Coke, certainly in Ireland and across Europe, their resources are so immense that no public department, no public health department could ever hope to compete or to have their kind of budgets. So they're far more likely to do something for obesity and for exercise and healthy lifestyles than a lot of our public health departments would ever hope to do in this decade or the next. And in keeping with what my esteemed opponents will say to you as well, Coke went on to explain that it wasn't just about promotion or communication. They were also considering product design. So they were looking at taking out the sugary content and replacing it with artificial sweeteners. They were looking at the packaging, and they were reducing the sizes as well. All of this, my worthy opponents will tell you, is very powerful, very good marketing. So it would come as no surprise to them then that people in the room perhaps weren't jumping up and down and clapping. They weren't congratulating Coke on this wonderful move, the first anywhere in the world. And very quietly, a question arose from the back of the room. It had to do with dosage. What would Coke recommend to parents when it came to Coke and how much children should drink? Was it 1 can? Would they recommend 2 cans? And after a bit of coughing and spluttering, the next question came up then. What about empty calories? What about people's lack of knowledge that they're taking this product and drinking it over and above the allowance that they need, their daily intake? And we heard from Brian on that. And then someone else was brave enough to stand up and say, well, what about sweet tooth syndrome? We know that when young children develop a palate for sweet foods, that continues on not just to Coke, but to other foods. So then they start looking for sugar in their tea and their coffee. Then they want sugar on their pancakes or syrup on their pancakes. And finally then, it came to the ad itself. The ad itself had to do with Coke offering 139 happy calories, 139 extra happy calories that you could spend if you wanted 75 of them laugh out loud. Laughing out loud burns up 75 calories, so we better get laughing. Or you have another choice. Take your dog and go for a walk with your dog. Use your dog as your satellite positioning mechanism. That's going to burn off 124 calories for you. And then if you don't want to do that, well, of course, in true marketing style, there is another option for you. If you don't want those extra happy calories, then go for Coke Zero, because that doesn't have any calories, just in case you're having a couch potato type day. So all of this ends up with a point where Coke, using powerful marketing, want you to be happy. But no matter what you do, your happiness had better include Coke. My esteemed colleagues will tell you that this is brilliant marketing, and it is. It's powerful, brilliant, stunning marketing. And Coke will tell you it's powerful, brilliant, stunning social marketing. Now I'd like you to pinch yourself, or pinch the person sitting beside you. Because remember what we heard from Brian earlier on after lunch. Remember that map of America and how red it's going to be by 2025. We're already well on the way there. Over 1 million people in the States are obese or morbidly obese. And Coke are contributing 7% of the calorie intake to that. So now let's go. Here we go. Here's your laugh out loud. That's what your 75 calories to prove it, taken from the ad. Now let's go to the evening meeting, and let's have a look at fair trade there. And again, we're seeing marketing force. Our farmers are very pleased. They've been able to improve the product of their seeds. They've been able to increase their price and sustain it. They've been able to get their product into places that they had never dreamed about before, far beyond the local market. And this has enabled them to invest in a seed bank, which is continued product development. And now they're looking at reputation management and branding, and all of this to improve customer relationships. In other words, Howard, who you see here, is developing very good marketing skills. And his marketing skills are benefiting him, his community, and his society. And in this particular case, they're benefiting Scotland, another society halfway around the world as well. It hasn't come from experts knows best, but it's come from the grassroots that Craig was talking about. It's come from partnerships, it's come from relationships, it's come from shared value co-creation, working in harmony, in collaboration, in cooperation with other families, other people, others who have similar views of the world or who want to change the world. And it's built on a social understanding that we're all connected, that the decisions that we make influence our own lives, but they also, like a stone falling into a pond, have far-reaching ripple effects to those around us, to those who are living two or three doors down from us, but also in communities across the country and across the world. So in this way, when you introduce the word social, as fair trade does, to marketing, you then change marketing for the better, and the system starts to change. Not just one product formulation, not just one consumer and their choices, but communities and societies. Coke's anti-obesity efforts may bring about some adjustments. It will bring about some change, but effectively, they're tweaking an old, antiquated system. Whereas if you look at fair trade, connecting in as they do to communities across the world, here, instead of being more efficient with a harmful product, they're changing the way people think, the way people feel, the way people do business, the way they live. They're changing not just one behavior, but a number of different behaviors. And in particular, what Henry and Howard showed us when they came to that small room in the Scottish Parliament was the power of systems combined with social, the systemic change that Craig was talking to. So when Jim mentions social and the word fuzzy, I can understand why it's fuzzy, because somebody like Coke and their use of social marketing would appear to be good. But then when you look at Henry and Howard and how they define social, they blow us out of the water, because they're not talking about good for themselves alone. They're not confining it to their life. They're sharing it with all of those around them. And they're hoping not just to improve their lives, but everybody else as well, that they know that's related to them, their children to come, and their grandchildren to come. The last question that was asked of Howard and Henry when they were there had to do with climate change. And the two of them went very quiet and very somber. And they said, do not believe for 1 second that it is not happening. Our parents knew to the day when they should plant their seeds. But now we have this notion of false rains. And false rains come and wash away our seeds. We don't have seeds to sow for a second time. So we have to wait. We have to watch. Is it false rain once, twice, or 3 times? So beyond all doubt, they're seeing climate change. Their seeds won't germinate if they hit a false rain planting. And he goes on to explain that this is becoming more common. This is becoming routine and normal behavior. Hear their plea. Hear the plea echoed this morning by Philip Kotler and Bob Lush. Come to this afternoon. Hear Brian and Jeff's plea as well. When you think about social, expand your view of the world. Make it bigger. Go beyond Coke and their laugh out loud 75 calories. And get thinking about communities and systems and the way we live our lives and how we connect to everybody else. Hear their plea not just for one intervention, one product change. I beg you, I urge you to vote for social. To vote for social in the biggest sense of the word. And in that sense, bring the change about that can save our world on this Earth Day.
Thank you, Christine. So with the panel's permission, I'd like to just go immediately to Nancy to wrap it up so that we preserve some of our break. So Nancy.
Am I hooked up? Oh, I'm hooked up. So this 30 seconds, I just want to say how glad I am to see so many of you. people that I've seen over the years, as well as just only met electronically. And now it's so nice to be able to shake your hand and give you hugs. So I just wanted to say that first. When my husband dropped me off at the airport yesterday in Seattle, he said it right. He said, "You must feel like you're going to an office party." And I do, and I do. So on a less cheerful note, I want to say that I can't believe that we're actually having this debate between social and marketing, or marketing. In the States, we call this a bipartisan issue. So in that jest, that is exactly why I am wearing red and blue. Now can you still hear me? Okay. Because you guys, this isn't about the left or the right. It's not about one or the other. It's not about social or marketing. It's about social and marketing. And it would be a mistake for us to try to pull them apart. They're one together. One is not more greater than the other. One is not less than the other. They are the same. And I want us to keep them the same. They are equally important. They just have different roles to play. So if you would bring up my first slide. So this is how I see social and marketing. So social is the beneficiary. Marketing is the strategy. Marketing is the horse that takes the carriage where it wants to go. And the social marketer, it's there guiding the horse and the carriage to make sure that they get to where they want to go. And if you look really carefully, by the way, he's got 4 reins that he's pulling on, the 4 Ps. Those are the intervention tools that the social marketer has to move that horse and carry that carriage with its passenger to where it wants to go. So social is the beneficiary, marketing is the strategy. That's why it's not one or the other. So to me, marketing, not just to me, but actually, marketing is a function just like finance and human resource in an organization. It is a function that in the nonprofit marketing contributes to nonprofit organizations and NGOs. In the public sector, it supports government agencies. And in the private sector, marketing supports the corporation. And in the social marketing sector, marketing is supporting society and social good. So more detail on that, I'm going to put it this way. So let's look at World Vision. World Vision is like a passenger in the nonprofit carriage. And World Vision is thankful for their marketing department that helps them raise $100 for a goat and 2 chickens for Africa. And the post office is really glad and really hoping that the marketing department for the post office will help them compete more with Federal Express. And in the commercial world, Apple, you know, the Apple people were really, really glad that marketing made it possible that in 5 days, there were 5 million iPhone 5s, was that how you say it? 5s sold. They were really glad for that marketing. And a smoker who wants to quit is really glad that the product development group of a social marketing agency developed a quit line for them. So in the end, many of you know, and for the sake of time, many of you know that I love to write songs, but you also know that I can't sing or carry a tune. So once again, I'm asking my granddaughters to sing my song for you to wrap up my point that this is about social and marketing. So we can go to that slide now. Here they are, G and Aja, and if you would play their song.
Social and marketing, go together like a horse and carousel. My sisters and brothers, you can't have one without the other. this conclusion, social and marketing go together like a horse and carriage. Ask your local gentry. Let's move on to elementary.
So, Jeff, I would really appreciate a fourth option. Social or marketing or abstain. How about a fourth option, social and marketing? And is that okay? Is that okay? Okay, good.
So before we have questions, let's have another vote, shall we then, to see if, since change has been the word du jour, and we've had some really impassioned and active presentations up here. So now, once again, who in this social versus marketing debate would vote for social once again? Oh. Who would vote for marketing? Oh, I see what's happening here. Who would continue to abstain? Oh, a few holdouts. And then finally, who would adopt Nancy's proposal to have social and marketing? And I think the count can be called there. Yes? So thank you very much.
The winner's clear.
The winner is clear, yes, yes. 84.6% in favor of social and marketing. So we have been sitting here for a while. I know the next session starts in just about 15 minutes. I'm sure people are eager for a break. So if it's all right with everyone, I'd like to suggest...
I'd just like to make one last comment.
Sure.
And that is, I'm also a strong believer in the social and marketing. And to my esteemed debaters, I'd also like to give you a book about social and marketing.
Oh, great.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
And I'm sure all our debaters would be happy to answer questions with you one-on-one after the session. So thank you all very much.